Hello there, welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking all about makeup brushes. Recently I've received numerous questions about this topic, as many of you are kind of new to the makeup world, or you are looking to upgrade your brushes that you currently have in your collection, and you've started searching out there and you have been overwhelmed by the number of options. And you have also been confused by the wide price range, because literally there are brushes out there that can cost you a couple of dollars and some that go for over $100 per brush. So I'm going to help dial in. I'm going to share with you what I feel like are the essential brushes that everybody should have in their collection, and then a couple of extras that I think are nice to add on if you're looking to up your makeup application game. And then if you stay tuned to the end, we will talk about brush sets and whether I feel like those are actually worth your money or not. So if you're new here, be sure you hit that subscribe button, and now let's get started. Now, as we dig into each of these brush categories, you're going to see a couple of different brands featured. So I want to give you some options. And the first main brand you're going to see a lot of are Morphe brushes. And if you've seen any of my tutorials, you know I reach for those brushes often. I feel like they are a really good kind of mid-range brush. They are less expensive than Sigma or BK Beauty, which are the other two brands I will be showing as well. But I feel like overall the quality of their brushes, especially the ones I'm showing, are really good. Now, I do not like all Morphe brushes, and the thing that you're going to notice if you go to the Morphe website is they do have so many different kinds of brushes that all look pretty much the same. So it can be really confusing, but their bristle type of their brush is not consistently the same quality. So Morphe is a good brand, and I do have several brushes that I've owned for a couple of years and they've held up well. But if you are looking for a brand that is consistently all the same, no matter what brush you buy, then you're gonna wanna focus on Sigma or BK Beauty brushes. So with all that being said, let's get started now with the 5 essential eye brushes that I feel everybody needs in their makeup collection. The first brush that I feel like is essential is a fluffy blending brush, like the Morphe M504. Now, why is this a blending brush? What does that mean? What's its purpose? Well, a blending brush, you're going to want to look for a brush that is kind of more round on top. I'll show you one that's not quite round, but you want something that has a lot of bristles. It has a little bit of flexibility, but it's not super flimsy. I have a couple of the super flimsy brushes, and they don't work as well as a brush like this. You can see how many bristles there are. What do we use this for? This is the brush that I use first all through the crease and to help blend out any harsh lines. So you can easily take a shadow, and I'm going to show you the difference as we go along. So if I take a blending brush with this really dark brown shadow and I put that on my eye, we'll pretend this hand is my eye, you're going to see a very diffused application of that color. As we go along, I'll show you that same color with different types of brushes. But this brush, this type of a brush, is going to help you get the most diffused look, and the more you blend, the more diffused it's going to get. If you have smaller eyes, this brush might be a little bit too big for you. So I have a couple of different options. From Sigma, the E38 is slightly smaller, and you'll see it still has that flexibility, a little bit of denseness in those bristles, but compared to the Morphe M504, it's quite a bit smaller. So you can still work this in the crease, get a good diffused line there, but it's just sized down a little bit smaller. Now, BK Beauty does have a blending brush. It is this one, it's the 201, but the top of it is a little bit flatter and it's a little bit flimsier than the Morphe brush is. However, it does still do a good job of blending, but it doesn't quite, because it's flat on top, it doesn't really allow you to get into the crease and blend above all at the same time. It's not a deal breaker. This is a great brush. So if you plan on buying this set of brushes, which I'll talk about at the end, this is a good one. But overall, my top two kind of bigger blending brushes I would recommend are these two. All right, so now that we have a really nice diffused crease, the next brush that I really feel like is essential, that I use basically every day, is a slightly flatter pinched blending brush. So this is the Morphe M433. This one, which looks almost identical, is the Sigma E25. And then this one from BK Beauty is the 206. Now, up until I got the BK Beauty one, these two were my go-tos. And really, the only main difference between the Sigma and the Morphe, I feel like, is the Sigma bristles are slightly softer. But I feel like they both wash up the same. They both apply the shadow the same. And so this is what I would go in with next to deepen the crease, the outer corner. You can also use this to lay down a diffused color on the lid. It's going to give you a little more color than this big brush did, but it's not going to lay down as much product as a flatter, denser brush. Now, the BK Beauty 206 brush, this is actually my top preferred out of these three, but any one of these three is a great choice. Now, I want to show you the difference between that first brush and this brush with that same shadow. And what this brush does, because it's slightly pinched, it allows you to kind of more focus the shadow in certain areas and blend out from there. So when I put this down, you can see I have a lot more pigment there initially than I had here. So you can see more clearly the depth of that color, but I do have the ability to then soften the edge of it, but it's still going to lay down more pigment than that first brush. Now moving on to the third brush, this is a flat shader brush. And I kind of went back and forth of whether I feel like this is essential or not, and I really do, because I feel like this is a brush that can do multiple things for you. So a flat shader brush is basically, it's flatter. It's not as flat as this concealer brush is. So it has a little more thickness here, but it's flat and the bristles are pretty dense. And when you go across the top of it, the bristles move slightly, but they're not super flimsy. So why do we use this brush? This brush can be used to pack on eyeshadow, whether it be shimmer shadow or matte shadow. You can pack on eyeshadow easily and quickly with a flat shader brush. So this can be used on your lid. It can be used under your brow bone. You can also use this. I've heard several of you say you struggle to build up intensity in the outer corner of your eye. This brush can help you do that more easily because you are actually going to be packing on the color and then you can blend it out from there. So the three brushes I'm showing you here are, let's see, this is the Sigma E55. I have had this brush, by the way, since 2008. So that just shows you how long Sigma brushes do last, and the quality is there. You're getting your money's worth. This other one is slightly smaller. This is the firm shader from Sigma. It is the E57. And so size-wise, you can see there is a slight difference there depending on the size of your eyes. And then this other one is the BK Beauty 203 brush, and it's pretty close to that Sigma brush. So let me show you using the E57 from Sigma, using that same brown eyeshadow. And what you're typically going to do is you're going to be pressing that brush down, tapping off and then applying. So as we apply it to the eye, you can see we're getting full, almost near full pigmentation. It's almost like you're using your finger, but you're using a brush, and you can kind of, you know, make sure that you get it in all of the little nooks and crannies, but you can see the difference between this brush, the next level, and then of course our blending brush. So firm shader or a flat, dense shadow brush, I feel like is the third essential. The fourth essential brush for the eyes is the pencil brush, or sometimes they call it a bullet brush. So I have three options here. I've brought in a super inexpensive option. This is from e.l.f. This is, I believe, $6, and it is a great, fantastic brush. And then this one is from BK Beauty. This is the 207 brush. And you'll notice between these two and this one has a rounded tip. And then this one is the Sigma E30. Also one that I've had for years and years and years. I did finally just replace mine, but this one is still soft, but it does have that point on it like the e.l.f. brush. So where are we using this type of brush? This is the brush that I love to use here to blend out and apply inner corner highlight. This is a great brush for that. However, this is also a great brush if you want to apply a darker color right here in the outer corner and you would like it to be slightly smudged, or if you want to blend out eyeliner. I particularly love a more rounded tip for doing that. I feel like this is a great brush to blend out eyeliner. I do have a couple of other options I'll show you in a moment. Now a brush like this, if you choose to use it for the inner corner, you're definitely not going to also want to use that same brush in the outer corner or to smudge out black eyeliner. I'm sure you get the reason why. So if this is your choice of brush to blend out eyeliner, it might be one that you want to purchase two of. The fifth essential brush that I feel like everybody should have is a liner brush. Now I have 4 different options here, and you'll see 3 of them are one type. These are angled, and this one is flat. So depending on what type of liner you like to do personally will determine which one you need, or maybe both. But this one, this flat one, is from Morphe. This is the M432. You see me use this all the time. I love this for underneath the lower lash line. It allows you to get super close to those lashes, but you can also use it on the upper lash line. Now, a liner brush you can use with powder shadow, or you can use it with gel liner, or you can put a pencil liner down and use a liner brush to further blend it out and diffuse it. Now, an angled brush is going to allow you to do more of a winged type liner if that's something you want to do. Or you can also use an angled brush in your brows if you choose to put a brow powder through there. My 3 favorite angled brushes that I use are from Sedona Lace. Now, I do have a couple brushes from this brand. They do still carry several of my favorite brushes, so I'm going to show you a couple of them. But Sedona Lace is a little more priced around the Morphe brush range, but they are really good. So this is the 561, and this one, you'll see it's not as flat at the tip as these are. So this one's going to give you a little more, a little wider line than these two. This one is from BK Beauty. This is the 208. And then this one from Sigma, I can't read the number, but I'll figure out what it is and put it in the description box. These two are microscopic. So if you just want the tiniest little line, or you just really want to push that shadow right into your lashes super close, these would be the choice for you. But any one of these 4 brushes, I feel like you definitely will get great use out of if you're somebody who likes any definition at all along the lash line. Now, in addition to those 5 eye brushes, there are 4 more that I personally use almost every day. They're not essential. You could get away without using these, but I find that these make my eyeshadow application a little bit easier and they kind of give me a little more flexibility if I want to be a little more detailed with what I'm doing. So the first one is, we're going to start big and go down small. So the first one is the Sigma E50. You see me use this every day. I use this to lay down eyeshadow underneath my brow bone. You can also use this as you would your flat shader brush to lay down shadow all over your lid, but you're gonna do it in basically one swipe. This one, because it's just smaller and you can't cover quite as much territory, it'll take you a few more dips back into the shadow and back. You can do the same job with just this one, but this one makes application, especially of the brow bone highlight color, so much quicker and easier. So the Sigma E50. The next one I know you have seen me use repeatedly on my lid when I want to apply a shadow wet is the Sigma E60. And this is technically a concealer brush, but this is an example of a brush that you can use for multiple things. I personally like to use this versus this one when I wet my brush because I feel like I can be a little more precise. You could also use this if you want to carve out your lid for a cut crease, all that. But this is one of my favorites. I love to just spritz the bristles with a setting spray and go over my lid shade. I did that today. And it really helps kind of create more of a metallic finish on the lid. The next brush is also one you've seen me use often, and it's the Morphe M506. This is like the baby sister of the Morphe M504. So same concept, just on a greatly reduced scale. So this brush I love after I have laid down, maybe I've packed on that darker color in the outer corner, and I don't want it to get too out of control. I'll bring in this little brush and I can just go right in that corner and diffuse the edge of that shadow. Now the last brush that you've seen me use a lot, especially recently for a smoky liner, is the BK Beauty. This is the 204 brush. I absolutely love this brush. It's a smudger brush. So you could use this instead of your pencil brush to help smudge out your liner or to apply a shadow really close to the lash line, but make it look a little more diffused than it would look if you applied it with a angled liner brush. So those are the 4 other brushes that I personally use on a very regular basis.